Welcome to this section on modern Canada, focusing on how Canadians govern themselves in federal elections. This section will explore the structure of government, trade and economic growth, international engagement, and the evolving society in Canada. Understanding these elements is essential for appreciating the democratic principles and the functioning of Canada's political system. Trade and economic growth. Post-war Canada experienced remarkable prosperity and material progress. The world's restrictive trading policies during the Depression era were opened up with treaties like the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, GATT, now known as the World Trade Organization, WTO. The discovery of oil in Alberta in 1947 marked the beginning of Canada's modern energy industry. This discovery significantly contributed to the nation's economic growth. By 1951, for the first time, a majority of Canadians could afford adequate food, shelter, and clothing. Between 1945 and 1970, as Canada strengthened its ties with the United States and other trading partners, it enjoyed one of the strongest economies among industrialized nations. Today, Canadians enjoy one of the world's highest standards of living, maintained by hard work and international trade, especially with the United States. Trade remains a cornerstone of Canada's economic policy, driving growth and innovation across the country. As prosperity grew, so did the ability to support social assistance programs. The Canada Health Act ensures common elements and a basic standard of coverage. Unemployment insurance, now called employment insurance, was introduced by the federal government in 1940. Old age security was devised as early as 1927, and the Canada and Quebec pension plans were introduced in 1965. Publicly funded education is provided by the provinces and territories, ensuring that all Canadians have access to quality education, which is crucial for sustaining economic growth and social stability. International engagement. Canada developed its autonomy gradually, making significant contributions internationally. The Cold War began with several liberated countries of Eastern Europe becoming part of a communist bloc controlled by the Soviet Union under Joseph Stalin. In response, Canada joined other democratic countries of the West to form the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, a military alliance, and the North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, with the United States. These alliances were pivotal in ensuring global security and defending democratic values during the tense Cold War period. Canada also joined international organizations such as the United Nations, UN, and participated in various UN peacekeeping missions, including those in Korea, Egypt, Cyprus, and Haiti, as well as in international security operations in the former Yugoslavia and Afghanistan. Canadian peacekeepers have been known for their dedication and effectiveness, often operating in some of the world's most challenging environments. This commitment to international peace and security reflects Canada's values and its role as a global citizen. Canada and Quebec. French-Canadian society flourished post-war, with Quebec experiencing the Quiet Revolution in the 1960s. This period of rapid change was characterized by secularization, the expansion of the welfare state, and the rise of the Quebec nationalist movement. Many Quebecers sought to separate from Canada, leading to significant political and social changes within the province. The Royal Commission on Bilingualism and Biculturalism, established in 1963, led to the Official Languages Act, 1969, guaranteeing French and English services in the federal government across Canada. This act was a significant step in recognizing and promoting linguistic duality as a fundamental characteristic of the Canadian identity. In 1970, Canada helped found La Francophonie, an international association of French-speaking countries, further solidifying its commitment to promoting French language and culture. The movement for Quebec's sovereignty gained strength but was defeated in referendums in 1980 and 1995. Despite these defeats, the autonomy of Quebec within Canada remains a dynamic and ongoing topic, shaping the nation's political landscape and prompting continuous dialogue about federalism, cultural identity, and national unity. A changing society. Over the past 50 years, Canada has become a more flexible and open society. Many Canadians took advantage of expanding educational opportunities, with more women entering the professional workforce. This shift has been accompanied by significant social changes, including greater gender equality and increased participation of women in all aspects of public life. In 1948, Japanese Canadians gained the right to vote, followed by Aboriginal people in 1960. Today, every citizen over the age of the 18th of May vote, reflecting Canada's commitment to inclusive and representative democracy. Canada welcomed thousands of refugees from communist oppression, including 37,000 from Hungary in 1956, and over 50,000 Vietnamese in 1975. These waves of immigration have enriched Canadian society, bringing diverse cultural perspectives and contributing to the nation's economic and social vitality. The idea of multiculturalism, as a result of 19th and 20th century immigration, gained new impetus. By the 1960s, one-third of Canadians had origins neither British nor French and took pride in preserving their distinct cultures within the Canadian fabric. Today, diversity enriches Canadians' lives, particularly in our cities, making them vibrant and dynamic places to live. Arts and culture in Canada. Canadian artists have a long history of achievement, reflecting and defining our culture. Contributions in literature, music, visual arts, and performing arts have gained national and international recognition. Prominent literary figures include Stephen Leacock, Margaret Laurence, and Mordecai Richler. Musicians like Sir Ernest Macmillan and contemporary artists have also made significant cultural impacts. In the visual arts, Canada is historically known for the Group of Seven, who developed a style of painting capturing the rugged wilderness landscapes. Emily Carr, who painted the forests and aboriginal artifacts of the West Coast, and modern artists like Jean-Paul Riopelle are celebrated for their contributions to Canadian art. The performing arts have flourished with regional theaters and world-renowned companies, while Canadian filmmakers like Denis Arcand and Norman Jewison have gained international acclaim. Sports have a rich history in Canada, with numerous amateur and professional athletes achieving success on the global stage. Wayne Gretzky, one of the greatest hockey players, and Terry Fox, whose Marathon of Hope continues to inspire, are notable figures. Canadian advances in science and technology are also renowned, with contributions from Nobel Prize-winning scientists and innovations in various fields. How Canadians govern themselves. Canada is a federal state, a parliamentary democracy, and a constitutional monarchy. There are federal, provincial, territorial, and municipal governments. The responsibilities of federal and provincial governments were defined in 1867 in the British North America Act, now the Constitution Act, 1867. The federal government handles national and international concerns, while provinces manage education, health, natural resources, and civil rights. In Canada's parliamentary democracy, elected representatives pass laws, approve expenditures, and hold the government accountable. Parliament consists of the Sovereign, the Senate, and the House of Commons. The Prime Minister selects the Cabinet and is responsible for government operations and policies. Federal elections. Canadians vote in federal elections to elect members of Parliament, MPs, to the House of Commons. Federal elections are held every 4 years on the third Monday in October, though the Prime Minister may request an earlier election. Canada is divided into 308 electoral districts, each represented by one MP. Canadian citizens aged 18 or older may vote and run in federal elections. Voting. Voting is a privilege of Canadian citizenship. Eligible voters must be Canadian citizens, at least 18 years old, and listed on the voters' list. Elections Canada manages the voters' lists and issues voter information cards. Voting is conducted by secret ballot to ensure privacy. After an election. After an election, the leader of the party with the most seats in the House of Commons is invited to form the government and becomes the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister and Cabinet run the government, while opposition parties work to improve government proposals. Other levels of government. Local governments manage community needs, including urban planning, sanitation, emergency services, and public transit. Provincial, territorial, and municipal elections have different rules from federal elections. First Nations have band chiefs and councillors responsible for services on reserves. Various Aboriginal organizations represent First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people in their relationships with governments. Summary. In this section, we explored the various aspects of modern Canada, including its robust trade and economic growth, significant international engagement, and the dynamic relationship between Canada and Quebec. We examined the societal changes over the past 50 years, highlighting advancements in education, women's participation in the workforce, and the evolution of multiculturalism. We also delved into Canada's rich arts and culture and the country's governance structure, including federal elections and the responsibilities of different levels of government. Understanding these elements is crucial for appreciating the democratic principles and the functioning of Canada's political system. In our next video, we will discuss Canada's justice system, Canadian symbols, and Canada's economy. Feel free to check out our previous videos. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be notified when the next video is uploaded. Thank you for watching.